So, Sonic Racing Crossworlds. This had a rocky start with me, just gotta be honest. Not in the same way I felt with Frontiers or anything drastic like that. I simply didn't see what was exciting about it, other than its gimmick being the travel rings from the Sonic movies being introduced into the mainline games now. This was more of a play it and see type of game, if you get what I'm saying. Like, I did enjoy the fact that the stages and laps were going to be fresh every time due to the mechanic of this game this time around, and the fact that they were bringing in a lot of characters. Vehicles, extreme gear, finally, by the way, they're back, and each character interacted with each other. But man, that freaking price really did knock a lot of wind out of everyone's sails when it was announced. We were all expecting it to be cheaper than Mario Kart World, especially after Iizuka went on stage talking up mad game.
Also, unlike another kart racing game, this game will have online cross-platform matchmaking. So you can race against all of your friends across all of the platform.
Only for them to even surpass it with the digital deluxe edition of the game. So that was kind of a dud. I just still can't believe they let that opportunity slip out of their hands. And by the way, again, the digital deluxe edition of this game also includes the 3-day early access, which is something I've never ever been a fan of. This has always been the real release date of the game, and you just have to pay more to get it on time when you're supposed to. I'll get more into it when I start speaking about the game, but TLDR, I was just not feeling the game at all. Nothing that would keep me from playing it, of course. Just unsure about how it was all going to come together. Not doom posting type of unsure, just, I need to play it first to see. That's where the open network test comes in. Announced a month before the game was going to release, I finally got my hands on the game, and my whole worldview changed. It all finally connected. It clicked. I got why people were gassing up the game so much. And not to keep you from waiting, but oh my god, the Sonic team absolutely did a marvelous job on this. There was an article that came out a bit before the open network test, in which the dev team ensured that the tracks themselves were fun before adding items to them, ensuring that its core was solid before moving on. I bring this up because I believe it. Ever since the open network test, I've been nothing but addicted to that one more time mentality. Even if I lose, I still had fun with the game, enough to where I want to try it again and again and again. You really feel how truly fun this game is. You can definitely see it through how people react to it and how much fun they're having and how deep they get into the gameplay loop, but it's something you feel. Speaking on that though, before we saw any gameplay of this game, I really thought they were going to keep the formula established and transformed. I mean, it was kept for Team Sonic Racing technically, so I wasn't reaching that far thinking into this. But no, this is way different. I've seen a lot of people say this, but it does really feel like an arcadey type of racing game in the sense that you're not traditionally racing. Karts and now Extreme Gear feel much lighter, whereas in Transformed, you definitely felt the weight of your kart. This is more focused on you keeping your speed and really taking advantage of tricks, drifts, and items to keep your boost speed and stay ahead of the game. It's really focused on mastery, like Sonic Riders in a sense, but much easier to grasp and understand. Even something as simple as modifiers in the form of gadgets this time around feels like a true addition to the gameplay. This was something I thought I wouldn't even touch once I got in the game, but seeing them unlock slot by slot and getting to really find the pairs of gadgets that work with me and even enhance my playstyle feels so satisfying. Even this part of the game was done incredibly well. There's so many gadgets and people have made so many different combinations that no build is truly the same. You can really customize this to your playstyle and that'll be uniquely yours. Now there's some that I don't really agree with, like specifically the trick one. In order to ensure that people equipped it, they made tricking in the base game really slow and sluggish. So if you want to get the optimal amount of tricks when ramping off something, you kind of have to. There's some that you have to do, and I don't agree with that at all. It should be just enhancements to the game instead of being something that you need to do. But going back to the customizability, that's not even getting into the full range of it. I already brought up the different ways to mix and match gadgets, but it also even extends to the karts themselves. Even the Extreme Gear can be fully customized through parts, colors, decals, like the works. It truly feels like you can make this cart your own, and most importantly, it's not overwhelming with choice. It's incredibly cool that we have so much power. It's so liberating. Oh dude, and the sense of speed? And it might be a little weird to compliment the speed of a game, but I honestly feel like this is one of its core features, as weird as it sounds. I have never felt so engaged in gameplay quite like this in a while. It's so fast and frenetic that it keeps you locked in to make sure that you score that first place victory. Especially on supersonic speed, it feels like a completely different beast. The game needs to be played on higher speeds. This whole game works on that loop. Make sure you keep using the gameplay mechanics, items, boost, drift, gadgets, etc. to secure your position and beat the opposition. Oh, and speaking of opposition, I love the rival system in this game. Part of the reason I wasn't able to really get into Mario Kart was that once you get good at the game, there isn't really anything for you to do. You can complete the Grand Prix and get all the trophies and this and that, but there is no real reason to win, if that makes any sense. Unless you handicapped yourself and tried getting into first place from last, that motivation to keep or stay in front isn't there. But here, there's an entire rival system that gives you an opponent and even trash talk you before each race. I know it's super small, but it really gives me that incentive to put my all into a race and beat them and humble them. It gives me that drive. Like in racing movies where they have that one rival that they have to beat, that's the type of shit I feel here. It helps massively too that every time you beat one, they get harder and harder the more you beat them. You even get rewarded at the end with Supersonic for beating all of them. That's something I didn't even know I needed or wanted in a game. But now that I've been playing so much of this game, by far, it's one of the best additions that Sonic Team made for this game. Using one of the strongest assets they have, their characters, to keep players engaged and having fun with the game. That is such a smart move from them. I can't even be mad. But literally every time a rival would say something so wild to me, like whichever character I picked, I cracked the biggest smile ever. This is my kind of thing. I love it so much. It's fan service done in the best way possible. That wasn't the only thing done right either. Stage design was also something that they did super well. I think a good example of this is Coral Town. There's so many paths in that stage that I didn't even know existed until revisits. Some have more curves, tight corridors, while some rely more on the air to land mechanics of the game. The point I'm trying to make here is that they all feel more Sonic-like this time around. I know shortcuts are part of any kart racer, but the way it's done here feels truly Sonic-like this time around. And it's not just that. They also include red star rings in each level, just like regular Sonic games would. They implemented red rings that help you reach shortcuts or higher pathways, which again is another Sonic staple. You get rewarded for finding shortcuts and these nooks and crannies. That paired up with the sense of speed this makes you feel, unlike its contemporaries, this truly just feels like a Sonic kart racer this time around instead of just a kart racer with Sonic in it, if that makes sense. Overall, the stage picks are just good. I feel like there's a good mix of not just stages from other Sonic games here, but also original ones, which is important. They all somehow fit well in Sonic's world and expand it at the same time. Look at how unique Aqua Forest is with its resorts and fairies passing through the logs of the very trees we're racing on. I just feel like that's something I would only see in the Sonic IDW comics, but we're seeing it in a Sonic game for the first time ever. It's so cool. Or the steampunk world that literally doesn't even feel real. Like, it's just how insanely creative it is. On that note too, now that I'm talking about like the overall game itself, the music. Again, I will admit, I wasn't really digging it at first, especially that horrid first impression I got of Apatos's beat drop, but it's kind of always like that for me. I usually don't dig it at first. I just have to give it a chance and just keep listening to it and just let it play. Then, after a while, I'll be like, yeah, I see why people like it. I understand. Same thing happened with Chaos Island and Shadow Gens, and the same thing happened here. I've come to appreciate like most tracks in this game. I don't like all of them the same way, but I appreciate them, and the soundtrack as a whole, really. I mean, Apatos is legit one of my favorite tracks. My absolute favorites just have to be the Frontiers remixes. I just need you all to listen to this, like, oh my god. I am sorry, Sonic Racing Crossworlds. I was not familiar with your game at all. When I first played Cyberspace, I legitimately was knocked off my ass by how hard the saxophone goes. Like, damn, dude. This soundtrack bangs. I just had the biggest smile. Also, something I just completely forgot to mention is just how good the game looks. Each stage in this game is just drop dead beautiful and definitely injects new life into previous stages like Mystic Jungle from Sonic Forces. And I also wanted to mention this too, but oh my god, the animations. Everyone has so many. The poses that reference different Sonic artwork from Sonic Channel to the characters reacting to passing each other, throwing items and like etc. It's superb. You gotta understand too, we're at a point where Sonic was barely emoting and was actively downgrading each game release. So to see all these characters get their spark of life back and just be better, it's nothing less than a miracle. I'm genuinely so happy to see. This whole game screams that they're trying. Not only can you see it, but you can also feel it especially. This is by far the most polished Sonic game that I've ever felt since like Generations, I'd argue. And that's super refreshing and comforting to see. It feels like they were given that money to try hard and stick that landing. But that's not to say everything is perfect though. Of course, one thing that I mentioned before is the price of the game. We were all really hoping that this game would be $60 like Sonic Frontiers or something like that, but that's not the direction they went at all. They just went ahead with a full $70 release on a spin-off game. And if you wanted to get the DLC, $90 for a racing spin-off. That is steep, man. Even if it's fun and all, this is not a $70 game, and especially not a $90 game. I'm sorry. At most, this should have been $60 and the season pass being $70. Literally how Frontiers did it. Also, something that was in the digital deluxe edition was, again, the 3-day early access, which no, I have never been a fan of that ever. Just release the game for everyone at the same time. This is just trying to capitalize on desperate people. Credit to the grifters at Sega for the idea though. It seems to work because otherwise they wouldn't have kept it going for this long. But legitimately, this was my fear. It being used on the next game. Like sure, remasters, whatever. We played those games before. But a brand new game? Come on, man. Something that I've really noticed is once you play all the stages, despite being a lot of them, still feels a tad tiny for the pool that you're given. We are getting more stages as DLC with the characters that were in the season pass, but it already feels like I played this game 3 times over, just selecting the same stages over and over and over. I don't think it's asking for a lot. I would love to see more stages, and it could really add to the game's lifespan as well. Another small thing I was sad to not see was an adventure mode or story mode. Now I know the game technically doesn't need it because it's a spin-off, to be fair, and as long as the game's gameplay is solid enough to carry it alongside the content to supplement it, it shouldn't matter. But with the introduction of travel rings officially into Sonic's game universe, I thought there would be a story mode to establish that, but there wasn't, which again was fine without it. Just something I was a tad disappointed by. I didn't want them to just drop it after Team Sonic Racing, but to just try again and do better. And you can see with like a little bit of tweaks and a little more reworks that it could work in a new game. Maybe that one-shot comic that accompanies this game will do something about that, but I don't know. Something small that I didn't know where or how to mention, but there's no way to select individual stages for regular offline races. What I specifically mean by this is that I can only pick 3-lap courses for each course, each individual course on time trials. From what I know, I still can't pick it from Race Park or anything like that. Same thing with Crossworlds. For as much as I love the idea of going into another world or another stage mid-race, why am I not able to customize which ones I want at all or if I want it? You always have to have 3 Crossworlds selected at a time. You can't just do one for your custom race. I'm particularly confused by this because you can do this in time trials, but not for regular 12-player races, even if it's offline. This is supposed to be a customizable mode. Why don't I have that choice? What if I just want to play on a Crossworld or a regular stage? Why am I not able to do that? Why do I always have to pick a Crossworld with it. And I could be completely missing some way to do it, but at least to me, from what I played, there seems to be no option to do that at all. I know at the end it's a minor thing, but I feel like that would be a nice feature to have, or a nice option to have included in a future update or something, you know? And finally, but the characters with no voices. Really? This is a $70 game, $90 if you buy the game's DLC, and they couldn't even get the DLC's cast to record in some grunts or like any noises at all? Like, sure, I can maybe understand it for the licensed characters. Maybe it's a little hard to get in all the voice actors, all the official voice actors to do lines, because it could be expensive or whatever, and especially because of who holds the IPs and controls it and whatever. But why in the hell are Sega franchises having the same issue? I don't feel like I want to let this slide. This is a $90 game with the DLC included, and it can't get the bare minimum, like grunts or anything like that of the sort. It's so disappointing because a character's voice is essentially their soul. Without it, it just seems that you're controlling puppets instead of characters. Not even the Prime characters get voices, which should have been easier to get because they've worked with them before. I don't understand. I know Izuka said it was to make the approval process faster, but that's such a lame excuse, man. I hope this is something they can remedy with an update or something, but at least Mods has us covered. But this whole thing still saddens me. If you give me a crossover event or characters, this will most likely be the only time they'll ever interact with each other. And since Sonic Team loves to use an idea one time before disregarding it completely, and I'm always sad when they don't take it all the way, there's always a chance they can add it back as DLC like I said before, but it's legitimately disappointing that the whole point of a crossover, which is seeing how two different characters from two different franchises would interact with each other and their worlds, doesn't do that. It's a wasted opportunity in the name of getting them approved faster. That's just lame, I'm sorry. Need I mention the price of the game for like the 5th time at this point? I feel like if I'm paying these prices, I should get everything in the game. If you don't want me to think this way, price it accordingly. It's not impossible either. IDW did it recently with the DC Comics crossover. But honestly, the fact that I don't really have any other complaints other than these, and I have more praise than anything, is awesome in my book. It really feels like Sonic Team got a grip and is flexing. Like, we've had back-to-back critical and fan hits, and considering our history, that's pretty good, dude. That's pretty good. They're showing consistency and a drive to keep outdoing themselves, and I love it, especially what it means for Sonic Frontiers 2 or whatever the new Sonic game is. But in the end, it's an amazing game. It really is. Yes, not at this price point. I'm sure you'll be able to find it on sale at some point, but I do recommend it whenever you get the chance to buy it. It's legitimately a good ass game, and I'd rather not have it any other way. Maybe if the price was down, but yeah, you know.